Today I'm going to talk about something really fundamental, and it may have to be a series of 3 or 4 or 5 videos here, but it's so profound that the implications for what I'm going to talk about are very significant for our world and our culture, our education system. And it's nothing new. It's nothing I invented, but it's something that a subject we don't usually um, think about very often. And that's our personal attention, our attention span. Um, we obviously, everybody, we have a consciousness, and I'm I'm 57 years old, and I don't have direct memories of of my experiences when I was 5 or whatever. I have some, but they're in there somewhere. But I existed back then, and I had my attention. And psychologists say now that in a young child, when we're very young, we get influenced very much by what's around us, the kind of attention that we're given, and how we train our focus. And depending on how we teach our children and teach each other how to focus our energy, how to pay attention in a way that's effective for being a full human being, for being happy. And generally speaking, various cultures have different approaches to this, but there's a lot of. It's very clear that when children grow up and they aren't taught how to pay attention, then excuse me, then they lose their focus. And I'll give you an example. When I was early in my photography career, I used to photograph children, babies, and I used to go to people's homes. And of course, I've had my own children, and I've seen other people's homes and so on, friends and family. But in particular, I remember a particular incident where I went to someone's home, in the child's room. The child was very young, when they're 6 months old or a year old. They have a lot to deal with just to get around the furniture and so on and learn how to talk and everything. But you see a child's room just completely full of stuff, and not all related stuff either, just a bunch of stuff. And so when we grow up like that, and people who do grow up like that, they some deal with it pretty well, and some have a real problem. Now, getting back to what we're talking about, our attention, ancient teachers, in particular, one of my favorite books, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, discuss this attention span, and in various religious and metaphysical teachings, there's a lot of conversation about our attention span, because that's where it all starts. This is where our existence starts. We have our cultures. We have, some of us are born in very strict cultures. Everybody's telling us exactly how we're supposed to dress and who to love and who to hate, and but very little is going on in terms of teaching each of us how to focus our attention on the moments of our life. Not what's outside, but who we are. Now, it often sounds funny. People don't think about that very much sometimes. Who's seeing? In the Upanishads, there's a phrase that says, well, it's not what is seen that you need to know, it's the seer. Who is seeing? We get back to a very fundamental question, our attention span. Who are we? Who's looking? And that's why all the sages say we should know ourselves. When we know ourselves, then we know our place in this incredible drama that we're in. So I'm going to talk a lot about attention span. There's a quote, a period in the Bhagavad Gita. I forgot which portion, but Krishna is trying to teach Arjuna something, and Arjuna is his archer, and he says, "Go look up there, and what do you see?" And he says, "Well, I see a bird in the top of the tree," and so on. He says, "No, no, no, look again. Tell me what you see." He said, "Well, I see a bird." He said, "No, no, no. Tell me what you see." "Well, I see the head of the bird." "No, tell me what you see." "Now I see the eye of the bird." He says, "Now shoot at that." So it's a metaphor for our attention. So what ancient teachers said, and there's modern teachers, but it's an ancient tradition, but a very, the sages that we revere say this, that you have to take your attention to a finer and finer and finer level of your existence, of reality. And the way to do that is you need a mirror. Because when you ask the question, who am I? And what is my attention? Who am I? And there is two ways of approaching it, which is an ancient tradition. You can say, I am this, I am that, I am everything. Or I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not this. Am I my hair? Am I my face? Am I my skin? Am I my bones? Am I the water in my body? What am I? And the answer is there's an energy, there's a sustenance that is primordial. And the amazing thing about being a conscious human being is that we can actually experience that. But to do that, we need to change what we focus on. And we need to change and deal with the reaction tendency of the mind, that when we perceive something, it has a reaction, opinion, discussion, debate, a reaction. But to perceive and not react, and to perceive more subtly. The same way we have our eyes are amazing instruments, obviously. We take them for granted. We have an electrical field around us. And through that antenna, that field that's around us, we can sense our position and what's going on all around us in a much more subtle manner. For example, an animal may have fur, and it can sense touch with that, but they also may have whiskers. So we have finer and finer levels of our existence that we can use to perceive finer and more subtle parts, movements. So I'm going to talk more about this in the rest of the segments of this series on it.